Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a really fascinating and maybe even revolutionary way to think about weight management, all based on the work of Dr. Jason Fung. We're about to unpack why pretty much everything you've been told about calories might just be, well, wrong, and more importantly, what we should be focusing on instead.
So let's just start with the question that I'm sure has driven so many of us crazy at some point. Why do most diets fail? I mean, you put in all this effort, you're trying so hard, and it just doesn't seem to stick. It's this incredibly frustrating cycle, right? But what if the problem isn't our willpower? What if the problem is the entire game we're being told to play? And this quote right here from Dr. Fung gets to the absolute heart of it. He argues that we're all laser focused on the wrong problem. We see the issue as overeating, but the real underlying problem is overhunger. See, he flips the whole thing on its head. The question isn't why do we eat too much? The real question is, why are we so darn hungry all the time? Okay, so that brings us perfectly into our first big idea. We're going to take a hard look at the most common piece of diet advice on the planet and see why, according to Dr. Fung, it's like trying to fix your car's engine with a spatula. It's just the wrong tool for the job. You know the drill. We've all heard it a million times. Calories in, calories out. Simple. Just eat less. But this advice, this whole framework, sets you up for a constant, miserable battle with yourself. It basically forces you to just white-knuckle it, day in and day out, using every ounce of willpower to fight against your body's most basic, powerful signals. And this slide just lays out that shift in thinking so clearly. On the left, you've got the old way. The goal is to eat less. And what's the result? You just get hungrier. It's a strategy of literally fighting yourself. But look at the right. The goal changes to hunger less. Suddenly, you're not fighting anymore. You're trying to understand the why behind your hunger, and you start working with your body instead of against it. I love this analogy from Dr. Fung because it's just perfect. Imagine someone told you that you only need one tool for every single job in your house, and that tool is a plunger. Need to hang a picture? Plunger. Need to fix some wiring? Plunger. It's completely absurd, right? Well, that is exactly how he sees the just eat fewer calories argument. It's one single, ridiculously simple tool for an incredibly complex problem. So, if counting calories is the wrong tool, what's the right one? Well, to figure that out, we need to break down what's actually driving us to eat. And it turns out, hunger isn't just one thing. Nope. There are actually three totally distinct types of hunger we need to get to know. So, Dr. Fung breaks it down like this. Our hunger can come from three completely different places. There's physical hunger, the kind we all know. Then there's emotional hunger, which is all about comfort. And finally, there's conditioned hunger, which is all about habits. Each one has a different trigger and, this is the important part, a totally different solution. All right, first up is the one we all recognize, physical hunger. This is your body's real, honest-to-goodness signal that it needs fuel. It's your biology saying, hey, we need some energy down here. It's driven by hormones, and it's actually the most straightforward of the three. But then there's emotional hunger. And this one is a completely different beast. It has absolutely nothing to do with needing fuel. This is your brain's reward centers lighting up. It's why we reach for comfort food when we're stressed or bored or sad. We're not seeking calories. We're seeking pleasure, comfort, and a dopamine hit. And number three is conditioned hunger. This one is all about programming. Your brain has basically learned to connect a specific situation with eating. The classic example is walking into a movie theater. You could have just eaten a full dinner, but the second you smell that popcorn, bam, you're hungry. Your environment is triggering the hunger, not your stomach. Okay, so understanding those three hungers is a huge piece of the puzzle. But there's another, even more powerful system at play, the hormonal system that basically decides how much fat your body wants to carry. Dr. Fung calls this the body fat thermostat. Just think about how a thermostat works in your house, right? You set it to 72 degrees, and it works to keep the room at that temperature. Well, Dr. Fung argues your body does the exact same thing with body fat. It has a set point. So if you try to lose weight by just starving yourself, your body is going to fight you tooth and nail. It'll crank up your hunger and slow down your metabolism, all in an effort to get back to its preferred setting. So here's the absolute key. You can't just fight the thermostat. You have to find a way to change the setting. And the way you do that is through hormones. Hormones are the control switches.
For example, things like insulin and the stress hormone cortisol can push that thermostat setting higher, making your body want to hold on to more weight. But other hormones, like GLP-1, that's the one targeted by drugs like Ozempic, can actually push that thermostat setting down, making your body naturally want to be at a lower weight.
All right, so how do we actually put all this into practice? Let's get to our final section and lay out a completely new way to think about eating, one that moves away from worrying about how much and starts focusing on why.
So the new game plan is basically a 3-step process. First, whenever you feel hungry, you just ask yourself, which hunger is this? Is it real physical hunger? Or is it emotional? Or is it just a habit? Step 2, you start making choices with your hormones in mind, choosing foods and habits that help lower that body fat thermostat. And finally, step 3, you focus on the root cause. If you're eating because you're stressed, the solution isn't a rice cake. It's figuring out how to manage the stress.
And that leaves us with this one final, really powerful question to think about. What if we've been aiming at the wrong target this whole time? What if the goal was never about the exhausting, willpower-draining battle of eating less, but about the much smarter, more empowering strategy of simply hungering less? By making that shift, you can finally start working with your body instead of constantly being at war with it.